Hey everybody, this is me, the Undead Viking, and this is Processing from Fight in a Box Studios. Fight in a Box Studios was the company that came out with End of the Line, one of my favorite games in the preceding year. I think it came out last year, about a post-apocalyptic wasteland and murdering each other's families. You know, just go check out my review. Tons of fun. Following along with that kind of dark and grim gallows humor type of situation, we have the game Processing. Now, Processing is a game where the alien overlords have come to Earth. They all were trying to take over the Earth in their own way, but they couldn't pull it off, so what they did was they all teamed up together. And when they teamed up together, they were finally able to destroy the Earth, take it over, and now they have control over everything. But now all the alien overlords are kind of disagreeing as far as what they're going to do with the humans and the cows that are left on the planet. And apparently the only humans left on the planet are hipsters. But anyway, so you, as like a hipster, you have been asked to be in charge of what happens to these different lots of captured hipsters slash cows. And you have a choice between either probing them, turning them into meat, or letting them go. And then depending upon what alien overlord you want to please or displease, you're going to score points or move up on this hatred track, which is a bad thing to be on because you don't want the aliens hating you. This is a game of negotiations, a game of voting, and it's a game of very loud arguments and scream matches at the table. Now, I shouldn't say that automatically going to be scream matches, but there definitely is. It's a game that you can get carried away with, and all in good fun, because of the fact that you're just going to be cajoling and begging and pleading and making offers on deals that you won't follow through on, but hopefully people will believe you, to try to get people to vote a certain way for certain bands of hipsters and cows that maybe you want to see them probed and somebody else wants to see them turn into meat. You're the one that's like, no, we really should probe these people, and you try to convince them to do so. And that's where the fun of the game comes from. But let me show you how that all works. There is a process to it. Processing. There is a way that it works, and it works very, very slick and very, very fun. And I have found that with the more people at the table, it's still fun. It's like for 3 to 6 people, it's still fun with 3 people, but it's definitely more chaotic. And if that's your thing, the more chaotic the game is, the more fun you have, then yes, obviously, when you get to like the higher player numbers, that increases. But anyway, let me show you, as I said, how the game is played, and then we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. This is Processing. I have set up a 4-player game. What you're looking at right now is that this is like the scoring track. This is actually the victory points that you'll be scoring, and more or less likely, the person who scores the most victory points will win the game. However, there is a second track over here, and this is basically the track that tells you how upset you are making the alien overlords. And no matter what, the person who scores the most points in this track is considered to be processed, i.e. turned into meat at the end of the game. So even if they have the most points, they will still lose the game. Each person will get a little card that tells them what like little person you are. As I am NCC-1864. But more importantly, it's just saying that I'm the yellow person, and so like the yellow scoring tokens will be mine. Each person, depending upon the number of players, you'll get a certain number of agenda cards. These will be the alien overlords that you are trying to appease. In this 4-player game, each person gets 3 of these cards. And so I have the Vegantors, the Fabuloxians, and the Tentacle Beasts. Now, each of these has on the side, like they have a hipster, and they have a cow, and in some cases they'll have like a hipster and a cow, or sometimes, whatever. But the big thing is that each of these tells me how I'm going to score points, victory points that'll help me to win, and it'll also tell me how I'm going to anger them possibly by looking at like the Tentacle Beasts. They want to probe the hipsters. You can see that's the probe sign. They want to probe the cows, and they don't want to set anybody free, and that'll make them angry. Moving on, the Fabuloxians, they want to probe the hipsters. They want to set the cows free, and they don't want to turn hipsters into meat. And like my final one here, they have the Vegantors. They want to set the hipsters free, they want to set the cows free, and that they don't want to turn anybody into meat. Now, that might not make a lot of sense right now, but those are the three things that I'm going to have to work towards at one point during the 3 rounds of the game, because I'm going to pick one of these agendas to fulfill after each round. Alright, so now we have these 3 cards over here. We have the probe, we have the process, and we have the free, and we have 3 lots. Now this one happens to be a hipster and a cow. This one also is a hipster and a cow, and this one is 2 hipsters. These have these voting locations you can see here, where we're going to be able to place our voting tokens, which you can see are these: setting people free, turning the people into meat, and probing. And so you're going to place those into this spot. Some of these, you notice like this card and this card, both already have a spot filled. So like this one's already 1/4 of the way towards freedom, whereas this one's already 1/4 of the way to probing. This one has none of those tokens. So that's just the luck of the draw, and certain cards will have those symbols on them. So what'll happen is that each person's going to take a turn, and they're going to make a vote. Whoever the first player is, the overseer, when it's their turn, they will draw another card off the bottom of the top of this deck and put it on the bottom of this conveyor belt that is these different lots, if you will, of cows and hipsters that are moving towards one of these 3 fates that await them over there. So it's a pretty simple situation. However, when each person's turn to vote, it is everybody's job to basically try to convince the person that's voting what they should do. You should be saying, "Come on, come on, come on! Let's make sure we probe these hipsters," or let's get some meat tokens onto this one. Let's turn these people into meat. That sort of thing. And you'll be arguing left and right between everybody. And the big thing is that since you can't show your agenda cards to anybody, you're gonna try to discern who at the table might have an agenda that might match up really well with what you are trying to do. And as you can see, there are tons of these agenda cards with tons of these different options of different things. Like here's the gray anarchists. They want to turn hipsters into meat. They want to probe cows, and they also they hate the idea of hipsters going free. So you will have people that will be against what you want to do, but also you'll have people that want to help what you do. Like I have cards that want to like set hipsters free. So maybe like this person and who gets this card and me can work together to try to make sure that we set a lot of hipsters free as we play the game. But you can definitely talk about what you want, but you can't show the agenda cards to the other players. They've got to try to figure that out. And you can of course lie or tell the truth or whatever you want to, because this is a game of a lot of open negotiation. Ultimately, it is up to you to make the decision of what you want to go for. So in my case, like maybe I want to use up a lot of my freedom tokens and try to free tons of cows and tons of hipsters this particular round. And if you'll notice, like I have this one right here. If I place a free token, like so, on there, I'm already halfway there. Now I've got to hope with the 4 players that more people, like maybe one person will be like, "Oh, I don't want to set any of those things free. That's bad for me. I don't want to do that." And they put a meat token on there. They want to process those people and want to chew them up. And maybe the next person, the 3rd player who goes, just, puts, they're going to start fresh over there. You're going to just, they don't want to really anger anybody. They just want to see how things turn out. And now it gets to that 4th player, and I've got to, beg and plead, please, 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 put another freedom token on there, because now I'm going to score some points. Now, if they did that and put a freedom token on there, this card would then immediately go and be placed onto the free spot, like so, and it would be done. The same thing would happen if they had placed a probe on there, because there would have been 2 of the free tokens and 1 probe, meaning that the majority was to free. However, if they had placed a meat token on there, like so, those 2 votes would be even, and we would take this card and we would just place it face up on the bottom of this deck, meaning that we could come back to it at some time later. But let's just say, for example, that we did get it up into that location. So we're going to be freeing that particular, those particular souls. And as I said, when we get back to the first player, you turn over another card and you add it to the list. Now that's just one cow and probing, and as soon as you've maxed out a card with all of the votes, that's when you push it, and process it into one of the three things. Now, you can have a situation where, and I'm not putting all the tokens on here, but I just want to show you that you can have a situation where eventually you'll have like a bunch of these they'll have votes on them, but they won't have enough votes to determine what's going on with them. And so because it's going around and people are, they haven't got a majority on any of these things. When you are adding a sixth card to the list, you will immediately process or just tally up the first card in the row. In this case, those two, nothing would have happened because it's even. You take this one and you just put it on the bottom. And you just do that automatically. The same thing happens when you get, because every round of the game is going to have 6 total votes. So as soon as you have 6 total votes of everybody having voted 6 times, you're going to get down to 3 of these cards left, meaning that if you had 5 of them out there, you'd go ahead and figure out where these 2 cards went, and you'd place them into one of the 3 fates. And I'm just going to place them up here just so you can I didn't do all the voting on them, obviously. And I should mention that votes, once they're placed on there and you tally up the result of the cards, when you do that, the votes are gone. No matter what, even if the card is placed at the bottom of this deck, the votes are considered to be gone and they are tossed aside. And because you start with 3 each of these different votes, after the first round, you will have 3 of these votes left. And you don't have to do one of each. You can definitely divvy up your votes however you want to. And I'm just gonna, as I said, I'm gonna manufacture a situation so you can kind of see how these things work. And of course, if there's any votes left over on those cards that are there, they're gonna stay there and they'll be ready for the next turn. All right. So what happens when you determine when you tally up the votes for each one of these things, each person will choose one of their agendas. They're going to look at the cards that they have available, what's going to be happening, and they're going to figure out what's the best possible thing for them. So in this case, we're going to have 4 things freeing. And so if I chose this one, it would be worth 4 points for me, which is good. However, I'm turning 2 of those hipsters into meat, which is bad. I mean, it's going to push me up 2 on that track. So maybe I don't want to do that. But if I go over here, maybe if I just, once again, that's meat for the hipsters. I don't want to do that either. So I'm kind of jammed here a little bit. I mean, I could go this way, but then again, I'm freeing all those things over there, so I can't do that. So unfortunately, I probably didn't do a really good job of convincing players what they want to do. So the best thing I can do right here is put this card and you put it face down like that, and everybody picks their agenda, and then everybody reveals their agenda, and then they total up the points. And as I said, so in this case, what would happen is I would gain 4 points because I want both hipsters and cows to go free. A total of 4 hipsters and cows went free, so I'd move up 4 on that track. But unfortunately, I'm going to move up 2 on this track over here. And I got to make sure that in subsequent rounds, I don't anger my alien overseers too much, because then they're going to turn me into meat along with all these other people these hapless victims that I've sent to the processing chambers. So then you just get rid of these cards, and at the end of the first round, each person will get 2 each of these each type of voting token. So they'll get 6 total more, and then they'll add those to the voting tokens that they have left over. After you go through the process again of each person voting 6 times, you will then pick another one of your agendas, you'll adjust your scores, and then you'll get one last time to make sure that you have 6 votes. You will get one each of these voting tokens, again, of the 3 different types, and you'll do it one last time. And once everybody has gone through and done their 6 votes in each round, you'll total up your final scores. Whoever scored the most points will be the most beloved of the Alien Overseers, unless, of course, they've also been the most, they've angered the most Alien Overseers over there. The game is fast, it is quick, and most of all, it is rather ruthless. Lots of bickering, lots of arguing, lots of negotiation, lots of pleading, lots of bargain making. I love negotiation games. I love this theme. This game has been nothing but fun every single time I've played it. But let me talk about that and more in my final thoughts. There we go. Alright, so processing. As I've already said, I like the game. As I've already said, it is a game that kind of speaks to me as far as the type of game. And it is this darkly humorous type of situation where there is a bit of gallows humor / role-playing going on, because you are literally saying, yes, send these things off to be probed by the tentacloids and take these people and turn them into sausages. So and definitely when I'm playing it with my gaming group, we kind of adopted that mentality, and we definitely did see ourselves as these technicians or whatever, with your spreadsheets, nope, you may go free, yes, I'm the nice one, but no, sorry, you're a Wiener Schnitzel. So and we had a lot of fun with it. Now it is a game where you have to plan ahead. When you get those agenda cards, you only have a certain number of them, and you have to make sure that you're not going to have a card that ultimately the results that you get, with the 3 different possible situations, the probing, the processing, and the freedom, you have to make sure that you aren't jammed into a situation where you were forced to play an agenda card that is ultimately going to either A, not score you a lot of points, or B, cause you to be turned into meat at the end of the game. And that's something where you have to kind of plan ahead for, and you definitely have to make sure that you're saving certain vote tokens. You have to look forward and say, well, I got these 2 agenda cards where probing's really good. I can't waste my probing votes right now. But of course the voting tokens are open knowledge, so if people see you kind of holding on to certain things, they're gonna kind of know. Well, they should. They're gonna figure out exactly. Maybe you're holding those back for that purpose, right? And so it's something to look out for. Now, there are a couple of variants. Normally, they just, the basic game was, you just dealt out your agenda cards. But there is a variant that allows you to draft those, which, you can use, and definitely that does add another level to play. There's also a variant in that it is these little, you probably can't see it, but this is a token that says ×2 on it. And as long as one of the options on the thing, if one of the lots, here's this lot, right? As long as there's 2 spaces open, and each player will get one of these ×2 tokens, and they can put the token on top of it like that, and they can place that so, and they can use one of those once. They only get one of those tokens, but they can place and they can use up 2 slots in one of those things. So you definitely can use that to your advantage. If you definitely, positively, absolutely have to make sure that a card that has 2 hipsters on it, you need those points, or maybe you have something like this which has a ton of points sitting out there because you got 2 cows and the 1 hipster on there, and maybe if you can push that over, you really want all these guys probed, and you can push it over the edge automatically, that sort of thing. So you kind of save that ×2 token for those situations. So it definitely is one of those things where as soon as we added that to the game, we definitely used it every single time. We just really liked that option available to us. Now, this is a game, as I said, it is a game of exerting your will. It's a game of negotiation. It's a game of being able to put your plan into somebody else's ear. You can't just sit back and hope that you're going to score points. You're not going to win that way. You have to get other people to do your dirty work for them, especially with like 5 or 6 players, because of the fact that like you're going all the way around the table. There's a really good chance that like a card is going to end up being voted on before it even gets back to you to even make up a decision. So you can't just sit there and like let the person vote. You can't let other people tell the person what to vote. You need to convince them, you know, no, we can't let those people free. We have to turn them into meat. And if you help me turn them into meat, I swear I'll help you out next time. I'll do one favor for you. You know, you don't have to do that. You aren't held to that. But that is the kind of stuff that you can, you know, try and make sure that your agendas get finalized. And the good thing about this is that the game is over really, really quickly. I mean, each person makes 6 decisions, basically, per round by putting those vote tokens down. Well, I mean, technically 7 with picking their agenda. But you're making those decisions rather quickly. You go all the way around. You're done. You score it. Set it up again, done, score it, set up again, done, score it. The game, I mean, I think once I was able to get all the players up to speed, 30, 40 minutes, even with 5 or 6 people, and it's one of those things where because it's so fast, and because it's so frenetic, and because of the chaos involved, everybody at my table, and I brought this to like gaming night at my local game store, complete strangers, laughing, joking, having a blast, high-fiving each other. It's that sort of game. It is the type of game that, like, you know, I can kind of turn my brain off a little bit. Not that it is a simple game by any means. No, not at all. It is a game that has simple mechanisms, but really, really deep decisions. As far as, like as I said, you have to plan ahead. You have to have forethought. You can't just haphazardly, you know, chaotically, you know, pick your votes and pick your decisions. You have to be like thinking, oh my gosh, I got to make sure that I get this particular card voted this particular way. How am I going to pull that off? And you got to make, and then you have to then, you know, force the other players to do your bidding, yeah, if you will. So this is the type of game that's right in my wheelhouse. I enjoyed it a great deal, and if you like these types of games, these like, you know, negotiation, bidding, voting, chaos type games, I think you'll really, really like this. And yeah, I mean, like I said, the smiles at the table of everybody laughing and joking and having a blast, especially when the person who thinks they're going to win ends up being sent into the processing plant and they automatically lose. I love that. I love when they have mechanisms where no matter what you did preceding the game, the fact that you, like, if you didn't, you know, make sure that, like, I think, like, what was that, like, Cleopatra and the Society of Architects, like, the person who had the most corruption, like, got fed to the crocodiles, didn't matter how many points they had. And, you know, same kind of thing. I love that stuff in games, because it's another level. It's another level of scoring. It's another level of decisions that you have to, like, decide what you're going to do. Because if you start going up on this track and nobody else is catching you, you're boned. So you gotta make sure that you're, like, staying low on that level and making sure that other people, you know, hopefully get forced ahead of that when they're made to choose an agenda that maybe they didn't want to pick in the first place. But anyway, there you go. That is processing. If you have any questions about it, please ask away. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. And yeah, just try to be the most awesome version of yourself that you possibly can be. Remove the toxic situations out of your life, and yeah, just be happy. You get one trip, make the most of it, alright? So, yeah, take care of yourself, and until next time, I'm the Undead Viking. You have yourself one heck of an awesome day. Alright.